Hey, what's up? What's going down? What's happening, everybody? I want to get right into it. I want to get your thoughts on a couple of topics.
Okay.
The first topic is this. Tom Homan said that ICE doesn't need probable cause to walk up to someone and briefly detain them and question them and blah, blah, blah. And he said he can do it based on physical appearance. Now, I was infuriated when I heard this. I want to get your thoughts when you first heard him say this statement.
Well, I mean, it is infuriating because when he talks about physical description, he's
Yeah,
not stopping any blonde people. You know what I
right,
mean? He's
right,
not stopping, and I'll get back to that in a second. So he's profiling pretty much people of color to stop and interrogate or whatever it is that they're doing. Unfortunately, with a lot of these things
mm,
that have come up with in the first Trump administration, but definitely in this version of the Trump administration, there are a lot of things that we haven't done in our society just because we lived in a civil. There was an idea. There was a
yeah,
somewhat of a code that we went by here in this country of freedom and being able to move a certain way without having to answer to the government. But
right,
those have never
right,
been challenged. And the scary part and frustrating part about a lot of these things is that under scrutiny, they tend to be what Tom Homan says probably is true. And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's what's infuriating. I believe that he probably can stop and just not and detain somebody enough to get some information if for whatever reason ICE decides that you're a candidate to be questioned. And yeah.
yeah. It makes it very hard to police. And when you look at, well, when you take into account Project 2025,
Right.
and you also look at the fact that Alligator Alcatraz has been built,
Mhm.
do you think that eventually, with all this happening, that legacy media will begin to do their job? And I say this because you said something last week about the pedophile and how this seems to be really ticking off the red hatters because they figured that with the Epstein files, there would be transparency. So when
Right.
you look at Holman and what he's doing,
Right.
and we look at how this, is just Project 2025 in real time. Do you think corporate media will start giving this the attention that it deserves?
The immigration thing?
The immigration, everything that he's doing, all this stuff, the violating of the Constitution, the breaking down of the rule of law. Do you think that they will start giving this the attention that it needs?
I think in certain cases they have,
Okay.
and in others they haven't. What the problem is, I think is that now in a lot of cases they haven't. And I'm been on the record criticizing
Right.
journalists for not asking more probing questions and follow-up questions and etc. Or ignoring things altogether. So
Mm-hmm.
I do agree that they can do a better job. But I'm thinking that let's go back to the Tom Homan thing.
All right. All right.
I know what I'm saying is that once you get that answer, see especially the Supreme Court, have been sort of allowing, if not blocking these things and saying you gotta, that they can do this, that the Trump administration or ICE or whoever it is can do whatever they're talking about. Not only that, or they're delaying an injunction or eliminating an injunction altogether until this thing gets answered later on down the line in court.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if the media gets off of this stuff because it's not being handled. I don't know. It's not being handled in the court system. I don't know. To answer your question, you said, do I think it's going to change? I don't think much is going to change. No.
Mm-hmm. The main reason I'm very fearful of what's going on right now, with Holman saying that, you got to look at this big, ugly bill. ICE's budget just went from $3 billion to over $30 billion,
Mm-hmm.
and we all know what that is going to do It's just going to give them the power to put ICE in that position to actually become the new Gestapo here in America, because they're going to increase the amount of people they have there. They're going to build some more alligator Alcatraz. And then they're going to really start forcing themselves on these democratic cities. So with this budget and all that, I think that's what really concerns me about how this is happening and how people are kind of not paying attention to it the way they should. And that budget, do you think that what I'm talking about, you think they're going to really try to use that budget to really put in a military style type of plan to really start pushing this immigration thing up another notch?
Yes, I do. But that $30 million figure, I mean, of course, you have 10 times the budget. Yes, we will see that. We'll see more we'll see more ICE agents. We'll see all of those things you just laid out. However, I believe that a good deal of that budget is going to somehow be spent and never seen. I have no doubt about. I mean, if I can bet on anything, it's the corruption in the Trump administration. If I
I'm curious how that's going to happen, because I know you kind of got an idea of how they're going to make some of that money disappear.
It's going to happen the same way it happens in the Defense Department, in my opinion.
Okay,
things are going to be charged at an exorbitant rate, and the same way that they, I don't, and there's without oversight, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
no inspector generals. Yeah, no inspector.
Yeah. That's the one thing. See, these people, and I don't want to assign it all to Trump because Trump is evil, but I don't think he's, he's in a lot of ways kind of dumb, So, but he's evil.
Right. Definitely.
Whoever came up with this, the master plan of Project 2025, whoever those people are, they seem to understand that the first thing we need to do is get rid of oversight and regulation.
Yeah.
Once we get that off the table, we can do whatever the hell we want to because nobody's going to know any better.
Right.
I mean, no one's going to know who's going to have the power to do something about it. So when I saw that budget for ICE, yes, they do have big plans for ICE, and yes, I do believe they're going to be a black ops, secret police, Gestapo, whatever you want to call it. These are going to be Trump's and MAGA's thugs to go do what they want to do and lock people up. I do believe that, and it's something that's very important. However, when I saw that budget went from $3 million?
It was like 3.8 million, almost 4. I mean, 3.8 billion, almost 4 billion.
Yeah.
And it just
when it went like that, I said,
yeah.
Y'all
that's
gonna
scary.
take some of that money. I mean, it's going to be, and when I say it's going to be, like, how is that going to happen? Well, then there's always the one that Trump loves to use, which is I wouldn't be surprised if ICE starts staying at Trump hotels. You know what I mean? With Trump, all of those things happen where it's going to these things are going to be paid out into services that are going to somehow find their way back to the Trump family. That's what I think. Again, it's such a large chunk of money because I really don't believe. Now I don't know, but I'm looking at what they do every day, and I certainly know we've been told about the stats under the Obama and Biden administrations that immigration seemed to be able to take care and deport a good amount of people with the budget they had.
Well, they were doing it. And in fact, both Obama, Bush, even him and Biden, they were exporting way more people, but they were also doing it the right way.
The right way.
Yeah, they're going after the people who broken the law, who are not doing what they should be doing to become a U.S. citizen.
Right.
So and you look at, he's not getting that many people out. And let's look at the cost of alligator Alcatraz. They talk about trying to keep the cost down. We're trying to get rid of fraud and waste. So this is the number. These are the numbers. Alligator Alcatraz holds, I think they say, 3,000 people. 3,000. And with the budget they have, they're spending $150,000 per person in that place to keep them there for the year. But yet they're taking away SNAP benefits from people who need it. You know, that's American. That's America first.
Right.
And that cost is $2,300.
Look.
So you know, so there's so much hypocrisy around all of this, man.
Hypocrisy and just plain old just conflict. Things that don't go together. It's like, okay, you have Doge and you're trying to eliminate waste and all of these things that supposedly are out there, waste and all that stuff. Yeah. You're supposed to be trying to get our expenses down. But also in this big bill, you raise the debt ceiling. Now, my thing is like, okay, if y'all are trying to save money, why we got to go into more debt? That's why so it doesn't go together. I've said it before condescendingly and sometimes jokingly and just out of frustration, but now I mean it. People that support the Trump administration, that support MAGA and Donald Trump are one of two things, and I don't see it any other way. They're either white supremacists or they're just dumb as dirt. They're just dumb because you cannot explain to me how you cannot be racist and support those policies. Okay, or rich. Okay, if you're a rich person who loves money more than
they're still a racist. You got rich racists, so
you got rich racists, but there are rich people. I believe that there's a possibility that there are rich people. I'm gonna give them this out. There are rich people who aren't racist, but they just love money more than people. So they're just going to. They're
in other words, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about anybody else.
No, they don't care. So those are those who say they don't care if you're white or black or Asian or anything. If you don't have any money, they don't got time for you, and they just want all their stuff. So if you're one of those people, or if you're a white supremacist, I get it, I dig it. You should vote for Trump because he's your man. I get it,
right? But
if you're none of those things and you voted for this guy or you support the MAGA cause, you have no understanding of what you're doing. You're just dumb.
Right. I totally agree with you on that. And, you know, for me, those people just seem to be ignoring all of the crap that's going around them because, like you said, they're focusing on one thing, their money, and still getting ahead. Hey, he's not messing with me, but he is messing with them because you look at the federal judge, going back to Homan, you look at the federal judge in Los Angeles, said, hey, look, ICE can't do what they're doing. You can't do that. They stopped them from doing it. But we all know that this particular administration doesn't give a damn about the rule of law. So when with this stuff happening, people who feel that, hey, it doesn't bother them, it eventually comes back around to them. And that's why you're seeing all these fuck around and find out moments. Like, go ahead. You got guys whose wives are being taken away, you know, so it really blows my mind how people could really think that way and don't think that it's going to be affected living in the same country.
I agree with you. I just don't, the whole thing. I know that people if we have a future, thank goodness, let's hope so. In the future, we'll look back and say, how did this happen? How in the world did we get where we are now? Because I still don't understand how these people support this guy. And what really blows my mind, especially at this point, at this second term, how some of these folks who, well, no, I get it. The people who've decided to work with Trump in the administration and do all that kind of stuff. Well, I understand this current crop because most of them wouldn't be where they are to the level they are without Trump. So
no, of course not. They're not qualified in anything that they do.
But what blows my mind is why they think they're any different than anybody else who came in front of them, who got thrown off of the boat or under the bus or whatever, analogy you want to use, whatever metaphor you want to use, like Dan Bongino.
They think they're going to kiss more ass. That's what it is. They say, oh, that person didn't kiss enough ass. I'm going to kiss more ass, if I need to. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, they don't feel that they had the loyalty that they needed to.
Right. Yeah. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with this guy, this Dan Bongino guy, who didn't go to work and wants to, because I tend to believe he's just going to, like, do what they all do, is cave and go back to work and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but the thing is this, though. If they get rid of him, they're just going to bring in somebody much worse. And I think they're really trying to just wait for everything to blow over. Because, really, these are like the only people that are willing to break the law the way they're doing it. And they're doing it for him. And let's be realistic, all right? Even if there isn't an election, eventually that guy's going to croak. He's going to be gone. Yeah, I mean, you can see him breaking down so much now physically. I saw a picture of him from January, and then he took one this week, and he's looking bad. But these guys, Bongino, Patel, Bondi, all of these people have sold their souls, and they feel that as long as they're doing what he wants, then they're going to be okay. But reality is going to hit pretty soon. I don't know when, but when you look at all these MAGA people being upset with him about Epstein, and which I really find amazing, that this is a thing that's really ticking them off. I can't understand it.
That's my point. Yeah, that's what I brought up, and Bongino might be the first one to, I don't know, jump ship because of this ridiculous, not because of any of the policies. Mm-hmm. Not because he was like going against the Supreme Court, not because court orders, none of that. Nobody's resigned over any of that. Well, some people from DOJ have resigned. Right. But besides that, nobody has resigned because of this outrageous behavior coming out of the office. But Bongino might resign because of this Epstein shit, and that's going to be interesting to watch. It is.
Yeah, it's real interesting because I'm really shocked at how, what's that podcast with the boys? They're like turning against him. You got Joe Rogan upset about it. And for me, I think that's something that should be studied, because I can't understand why they're now upset. And they're saying, well, this isn't what, this isn't why I voted for him. He didn't say he was going to do all this when he did say he was going to do all of that. But it's, for me, it's just fake outrage, in my opinion, from these people. It's just fake outrage, and I really can't understand it. It leaves me baffled, my man.
Some of it, yeah. I think some of them, it's hard for me to I think some of it is fake outrage. Like, I tend to believe there's certain people, like Joe Rogan, who I don't know at all, and I don't follow him that much. I've seen him do a couple stand-up sets back in the day, but he's somebody who I think knows better. You know what I mean? I just think he's performative, to tell you the truth. And so, yeah, I think he's somebody who is just saying what he ever thinks he needs to say in order to maintain his clicks and keep his audience. And he found that bro culture was the thing that, like, seemed to get him, got him to be Joe Rogan. And so he kept going with that. But I think some of these people, like Bongino, I'll put him in this case, I think some of these people really did believe in this is why I think some people, this is what their thing with MAG is. Okay, because the Republicans have been so good at demonizing the left. Okay. And they had done such a good job, as I think they've convinced a number of people, a good number of people, that there is a deep state and that the government is being run by socialist, communist liberals that have taken over and have these tentacles that go all through and out, and that the Epstein file, and I believe they were like, when he was talking about drain the swamp, and I'm going to go there. There were some people, I think, who really believed that Trump was we're going to get Trump back.
Why? I can't.
Wait. They thought that he lost the 2020 election because of the deep state.
Yeah.
They thought we were going to get him back in there. Now he's back in office. And now we're going to, I think in their minds, they thought there was going to be this great tarring and feathering and prosecution of most of the Democratic Party and Liz Cheney and all of these people that were like Hillary Clinton, all these people are going to be uncovered, and all of this QAnon stuff was going to come to the fore. And we all knew that was, anyone with a mind knew that was some bullshit. But but I think that there is a significant part of his base, especially based on some of the interviews that I've seen in the mainstream media as well as on YouTube, of these people at these Trump rallies and what they believe in. I just think that they really thought that electing, so when he's talking about, I'm your retribution, I'm going to do this, I really thought that they think that Trump was going to come in there and lock up all the the terrible liberals who were trying to change.
Yeah, for what charge though? What did they do? That's the thing.
They thought, no, okay, that's a good question. Yeah. One of the reasons why it hasn't happened is because there's nothing to charge them with. But you asked me what they expected. What they expected was that these people were going to be charged with sedition, with election fraud, with stealing from the government. They thought for fraud and all this stuff. They thought all of those things, any conspiracy theory that's been out there, they thought that was about running a pedophile ring. They thought pedophilia ring. They thought all this stuff was going to come out.
Yeah,
and
that's what they thought with Epstein. They thought
that Epstein was one of the keys to that. But they didn't just come up. They didn't just say, "Well, we're looking at this Epstein thing. We're working on it." They said, there's no such thing. Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And that's a problem with them, because, I think it's obvious that, if they had a victims list, they'd probably have a list of people who were there.
Exactly.
And so to say there's no list is just ridiculous.
Yeah, like I said the other day, it's all in discovery. And for me, it's just a pure example of willful ignorance. For them, all this stuff, he's talked about Epstein, they got pictures together for them to, it just shows how idiotic all of them are. This whole thing with Epstein just ticks me off because it's just pure insanity. You see him taking pictures with this guy. They're hanging out all the time. We've seen the type of crap that he says. He lost the trial, civil suit. He's an adjudicated rapist. But yet, for some reason, they are shocked. For some reason, they're thinking that it's the stupidity and the level of ignorance is just driving me insane.
It drives me insane too, but this is and I'm not giving them an out. These people make me mad, but I always try to find before I start throwing so many stones. I'm not a Christian, but I try to not throw stones. Okay, so I try to look at myself, and so here's my equivalent, but never as dumb as these folks. But okay, OJ. Okay, back when OJ was on trial, not only did I have a bad relationship with the police, but I was kind of working myself through some of my own troubles I've said that some of my associations had gotten me into back then. So I was not a friend of the criminal justice system at that point, nor the police department, nor their testimony in court. So when OJ went on trial for those things, and he went with the planted evidence and all of this kind of this defense, I was like, because listen, and this is what I tried to tell people at the time, because they were like, you don't think OJ did it? And I'm like, no, I don't think he did it. They were like, you're crazy. And I was like, yeah, well, I don't, because of, X, Y, and Z, because the glove doesn't fit and all this stuff, and he'd be covered in blood. And I had all the answers as to why OJ was being set up. And then he got acquitted, and I was on the people that, yay, so like that. Okay. Upon reflection, OJ killed her, okay? I believe, right? Yeah, and there was a lot of evidence that was pointed that direction. Yeah, and had I not come to that situation with the mindset that I had, also, just forget my personal experience, just a Black American's experience with the criminal justice system, a lot of us were like, this sounds like a credible defense.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, it
okay.
did. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so
it
what
did.
I'm saying is, it took me a couple of years, and I was never one of those staunch OJ conspiracy theory, like, oh, he's innocent, blah blah blah. But
Mm-hmm.
I did believe that he was getting set up. I did,
Mm.
and
All right.
it
All
took
right.
me a couple of years to say, what the hell? Okay, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong about that, I think. And so I'm using that as an example because I was very ready to believe all that crap about the police because of my going into it. I already had a bad relationship with on the ground policing. Okay. I always had a bad
Gotcha.
relationship. Okay.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
so if you're a person who, what they did very skillfully is they poked all these people's prejudices and theories about the government and all of these things, and so these people all wrapped around the axle, but around stuff that they're getting. Now, granted, if there had been a Fox News then for OJ's innocent, if I've been watching something, if I've been saturating myself with media that talked about the innocence of OJ 24/7, I might still be talking about him being set up. And
Good
so
point. Good point.
that's my
Yeah.
only thing is that there are a lot of factors. I'm not giving these people an out because by now they should know better. That's why I said they must be dumb.
Right.
Because
Right.
they should know
Right.
better. But
Right.
I can understand how that can happen to a person. I'll put it that way. I can understand how you can you might believe something based on the prejudices or the mindset that you bring to it when it happens. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Trump was very good at taking all of the bad things about the United States, all of our prejudices and people feeling they were being cheated through affirmative action and DEI and all of that. So they took all of that ball and they very skillfully told people everything you've been thinking about this is true.
Yeah, everything that would work in their favor.
Right, everything we're going to
They
favor.
just emphasize the negatives that help their narrative.
Right.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
things haven't been working out for you, and you were wondering whether it was because of immigrants, it is. And
That's right. It's it's you are exactly right,
yeah,
people. It's the immigrants, and I'm going to take care of it.
right, right.
That's his. Yeah, I mean, what you're saying that
So,
has some solid teeth.
So
Yeah,
I don't want to get
yeah.
so but again, now that I say that, I said that's just me understanding it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I can understand it, but at this point, 2025, we're not talking about 2016. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a pass in 2016. You got
Right,
fooled.
right.
2024.
Hell no.
Yeah,
Yeah, hell no.
2024.
Yeah, no, no,
You're just
no.
dumb. You're
You
just
just
dumb. Or
yeah,
you're white supremacist. That's where I am
yeah.
today with these folks.
Yeah, and that's like the skin folks who ain't kin folks. Those brothers that supporting this guy, they're out there. But I'm gonna go back real quick to Homan and all this crap that they're doing. One thing that I found very interesting because Pam Bondi says something about it, and that is the guy Joshua Aaron. This guy created that Ice Block app. And what I love about it is that he told the occupant and the red headers that go ahead, demonize me. Go ahead.
Mhm.
Because what he said, what he's doing is called the First Amendment.
Right.
So when I see somebody like this
Mm-hmm.
standing up, going on shows, talking about what he did and why he did it for me, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that we can get more Democrats to emulate what he's doing because he's just standing on facts. That's all he's doing. He says the rule of law. His app is just like Waze in a lot of ways. So when you look at what that guy did and how gangster he did it, do you think we'll start getting more people like him getting into the mix and doing what they can based on their own resources?
I hope. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I hope
Mm.
so. It depends on and this is what unfortunately the Trump administration understands. What strongmen have understood. It also depends on what happens to him.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
You know what I mean? If see, that's the diabolical, part of this whole thing, the oppressive part of this whole thing is that, you know, the executive branch, with the DOJ being underneath of that, you know, we were just talking about it. Wouldn't be the first time someone's been arrested for
Yeah.
for nothing.
Yeah.
And so, that's my concern. Well, if they will allow free speech to reign like it sure should, then we'll see. But with these folks, you just don't know.
Right.
And you just don't know, and that's what really has me concerned. As I've said to you, and I will continue to say until we're past it. I don't know about these elections. I'm concerned about the midterms.
Right.
And I heard the other day that they floated something which I expect to happen. I just do.
What's that they floated?
That they want to do something where you re-register.
Yeah. What's going on with that? You have it like in Georgia. They have a new particular law that they used the last time where you can challenge somebody's registration. So you can just challenge somebody's registration, they remove them from the rolls. So what they just had is a situation where it's like 40,000 people have been removed from the registry rolls in Georgia. And so this is becoming a big fight right now because you have other states trying to do the same thing. If you haven't voted a couple of times, they remove you from the rolls. So a lot of people are stating that who are voting rights activists are stating that we're now at the point where we need to check our registration every year, and especially 3 months leading up to and this is a tactic that they use because most people aren't aware of that. Most people aren't going to do it. And most people are like, really? Why would they do that? So,
well, the thing that I heard, but again, it's just a rumor, and I don't want to deal with rumor. But like, I would not, if I didn't hear this, it was something that I think I'd expected them to do anyway, and that would be like months before the election, saying, okay, in an effort to make sure our rolls are clean, we're going to erase everybody, and everyone has to go out and re-register to vote. I'm waiting for that. I was expecting that. That's that type of thing we need to expect, as citizens coming from this administration, because they're going to do whatever they can. I mean, I would just say the likelihood of, if you're trying to lose votes, trying to stop people from voting, I'd say, okay, well, one way to do it for sure is somebody's not going to re-register. So let's just erase all the rolls and tell everyone to go register again, and you're going to lose some.
I'm in Virginia, so you get somebody down in Galix saying, "Well, that guy Couch, he's not really." I challenge his registration, so then they purge me because some Mickey Flicky in Galix just does that. Just look to see that I'm a black male and challenges it. When you look at the demographics of this country, people of color and good white folks, we have the numbers to put people in place who will basically look out for our interests. And for me, I can't understand why we can't overcome the narrative that voting doesn't work. And why do we have so many brothers that just spit on voting and then spit on saying we are on the plantation with the Democrats? I'm just looking at policy. It's like these Negroes won't look at policy. They just look at some freaking narrative. Some dude named DeAndre on the corner selling crack had said, and just roll with this nonsense. But I can't understand it, man.
Well, I can't. Neither can I. But I tell you, the other thing that's frustrating to me, if it was DeAndre on the corner selling crack, I'd understand. If DeAndre's in a tough spot, but and he's bitter and he said, "Fuck it, it didn't work for me." But it's coming from these people that I see or have seen on social media, on YouTube, with a microphone, with the
Mm-hmm.
sounds, with equipment, with stuff. These are
Mm-hmm.
people with stuff who are
Yeah.
talking about this voting has done nothing for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
brother, open a book. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? If you were granted, if life hadn't worked out for you and you're, in the breadline and
Mm-hmm.
and all of these bad things, you're living in a shelter. I get it. I understand your pain, you're being bitter, and
Mm-hmm.
that system doesn't work for me, and look at me, and blah blah. I get that, but
Yeah.
I'm not hearing that from these brothers I see. They're
Right.
all like, oh yo, subscribe and like.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, do you see what you do? You see yourself? They're
uh,
talking about we
uh,
haven't done anything. Man, the Democrat haven't done nothing for us at all.
and,
Okay.
and there's a long list of things that you can go down that shows how the Democrats' policies have benefited us. Look, I'm for me, man. Those brothers are part of the problem because let's look at Texas. Texas alone. When I came across this number and I looked it up, I was shocked. First of all, Texas, the population of Texas is more than 60% people of color.
Mhm.
You got Hispanics, you got brown, black, you got all these people, more than 60%.
Mhm.
You look at them and you look at, once again, the good white folks, because these brothers want to try to say that white folks ain't done nothing for us. And I'm like, if that's the case, why aren't we still slaves? But you take them, you have the numbers to make it happen. But what happens? In Texas, 61% of the people that vote are white. So
Mhm.
you got this large minority demographic, but you have most of them not voting. Now you have places like Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, where you got, some very, prominent blue spots. But if we just voted our numbers, I just can't understand it. The numbers say it, and I hear every freaking excuse in the world from brothers not wanting to vote. And for me, I don't understand. Is it because the same brothers that talk about you can't let the media brainwash you, but from my perspective, it seems like the media has them brainwashed. What are
Mhm.
your thoughts on that, man?
Well, I don't understand it, and I don't know where to put. I don't think there's one place you can put the blame, but I think there's a lot of places that have things that have contributed to it
Mm-hmm.
sociologically and economically. But when I lived in Texas and Houston for 2 years, 92 to 94,
All right.
and I understand we're talking about quite a long time ago now. So I have no idea what Houston's like now. Haven't been back,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want my experiences. I don't think my experiences necessarily is a good marker of the city of Houston. However, when I was there, and Houston is a big city, urban area, large city. I mean, it's not necessarily tight, large city.
Yeah,
A lot of
spread
black,
out.
a lot
Yeah.
of black people, but I didn't witness, anecdotally, I didn't witness a whole lot of political engagement or activity among the black community.
Mm.
They just on a local level there was on a
Mm-hmm.
local level they seem to because a lot of the council people and all of those they have wards down there. The wards people you
Mm-hmm.
know would go go to the churches and they visit churches and so they get a lot of they have support on that level in the mayor's race and all of that. But
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't feel it. Now I blamed it on the fact that I grew up in the DC area and my parents both were in the government, so I was always very plugged into politics and the news and all of that. And I didn't that wasn't the case with people that I was meeting down there who were natives of Houston. So that
Mm-hmm.
part of that tied into it. But I don't understand though. I at that point I wasn't hearing people say what they're saying now, like voting isn't any good, it doesn't do us any good, or there's no reason to vote. I don't understand that reasoning, but I did witness people who just didn't. they were just disenfranchised, disenfranchised. They just, aren't in the habit of participation. And I think
so beaten down locally, just trying to survive day to day. That
I
can do
don't
it
know.
to
That's
people.
part of it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure that's part of it. There is I just think as a community, we need to somehow instill, and I'm not, and again, I don't understand like you. I don't understand it coming from some of these younger, educated, who seem to be educated brothers who I see out on social media or on YouTube or wherever.
They faking it. They
Right.
faking it. They're not educated. They're faking it. Yeah,
Okay.
because
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Well, I'm
yeah.
just saying they're articulate. Okay, I put that way.
They got the silver tongue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They
But
got the silver
I
tongue.
don't understand how they can reconcile those two things. Like, and I think part of it might have come from the Obama presidency because I don't know what was expected and I don't know what was lacking in their term, but I've heard, I'm sure you have too. Heard some people say, "Well, Obama didn't help, the brothers out. He didn't do anything for us." And it's like, well, I don't know what you expected him to do.
Yeah, that's that ignorant BS. It's like when Kanye said, "Well, he didn't do nothing for Chicago." You need to do something for Chicago. The governor of Illinois, what Obama did, he
Right.
put things in place like federal judges. So when your ass gets arrested in Chicago
Right.
for a federal crime, you ain't getting treated misfairly. He also made sure that we have the ACA, Obamacare.
Right.
And believe it or not, as hard as they've tried to get rid of it, it seems to be pretty solid and it's staying in place and it's doing its job.
Yeah.
The people that he put in charge of certain agencies made it easier for us to operate. Also enabled us to get more of these government contracts. He opened up more of those for black folks. Biden did the same thing as well. 16 billion to HBCUs by Biden. Obama, those guys, they did their job. And once again, the Democrats don't brag enough. They don't talk about the things that they did and how it affects us and how it helped us. So, but there are brothers that don't hear that, don't see that, and they got a chip on their shoulder for whatever reason. And when you try to get an understanding as to why they're upset and why they're mad, these Negroes don't have a plan, don't have a solution, and can't even bring up real facts to support their anger and their frustration.
Right.
So for me, that's killing us because we all just voted along our interests and we came together, then we could get done. Got to do it bit by bit by bit. Because while we're all upset and getting mad about that, we got people like Jasmine Crockett and Al Green who are now in a situation where Abbott is calling a special session to see about redrawing their districts, which is going to probably backfire. And there's a reason why it might backfire.
In the Texas Tribune, which is a nonprofit site in Texas, you got someone is quoted as saying, we went down this road before and it didn't go well. In this article, they lay out that the Republicans did this in 2010. The problem is things begin to change in 2018. You see right here, 2018 was a midterm election. The political climate changed. A lot of Dems turned out. And so you had these so-called red districts and Dems turned out and Republicans lost statewide seats. They lost 2 congressional seats. And you see what Michael Lee, a redistricting expert at the Brennan Center, said, what looked like a silent gerrymander by the end of the decade had become almost a dummy bander. The lesson for 2010 is that you can stretch yourself too thin, that you can be too smart for your own good. And when the politics change, you get bitten in the you-know-where. So already there are some Republicans in Texas who are saying, hold up now, dog. I don't know about this here, because if all of a sudden we start changing lines, let me explain how that works. If we start changing lines to get rid of these 3 black Democrats and Latino, that means them black people and Latinos, they vote in our district.
But they fight dirty.
Yeah.
They fight dirty. And when you got them going after Jasper Crockett, Al Green, and they're looking to, redraw the districts, the congressional maps, and Abbott is doing this, this is when, in my opinion, the Dems need to say, okay, we're going to do that in our state so we can get rid of some of these red headers.
Well, we've tried to. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a redistricting plan that was kind of blown up in Maryland a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That if that was going to, it was going to help the Democrats a little bit more, even though we're a very blue state. So it was, I agree that we need to look at all of that. What I would like to see being introduced in Congress are systems, things that make more sense, like the whole gerrymandering thing. The reason it's called gerrymandering is because I believe an election in New York, and they were recreating a district for a candidate with the first or last name Jerry or something like that. But it looked like a salamander, the shape of this district, in order to get this person elected. So they put it together, said they were gerrymandering this district. And that's how the name came on.
Didn't know that. Makes sense.
He should not have,
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I can understand. That makes sense.
He should not have districts shaped like a salamander or anything like that. That's my point. That's what we need to systematically have a way of systematically drawing maps based on coordinates or something that's objective and and measurable that stays put.
Right,
so that we don't even have these discussions anymore.
I agree with you on that, because you're right. You've seen some of these maps drawn where it was like a nice, somewhat of a circular or square type of shape, which defined the people that lived in that area. They redraw it. It's like they cut out part of it where all the people live, that they know they can get their votes, all that, and they cut it out and then they split up the black folks, people of color, and they put them in part of that district just so their numbers don't help the person in the other district.
Correct. Yeah.
And that right there is voter suppression. That means you take away from the power of my vote. And we see this a lot. So
it just seems like a common sense approach. I don't know why. And I would imagine somebody maybe proposed something like that, but that whole gerrymandering thing should be moot. They should just have a matrix that they lay on top of a state. They're like A, B, C, D, and these are your districts.
Right. You're right. It does need to be a structure like that, and I think that would eliminate this from happening. But how are you going to get that to happen? You're not going to get anybody in Congress to work on putting a law like that in place at all.
They like this. They like this stuff.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I want to let everybody know that that's our chat for today. And please take the time and share the video. And if you haven't, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you got anything that you would like Howard and I to chat about or bring up or talk about in depth, please inbox me and we can make this happen.
Yeah.
Anyway,
or if you want to come on here and maybe talk about it.
Hey, if you want to come on the show, I would love to have a couple of people come on the show and talk about some things that interest you, because I got questions and I know my man Howard has questions too. So, but that was good stuff today. And look, you can see that we're a little pissed about this orange guy and all the crap that he's done this past week. But more than that, I think we need to really be more aware of what's happening. And we really need to focus on trying to get the facts beyond our normal sources of information, because there are a bunch of people out there, you might just watch MSNBC, you might just watch Fox, you might just watch CNN. Do some cross-referencing. Look up things and make sure you know what's going on, because we don't need anybody posting any more crap about Shaq donating $25 million and paying for the funeral expenses of the people in Texas when it didn't happen. That takes us away from focusing on what is happening. But anyway, this is my man Howard. I'm Couch.
Yeah.
We're out. Talk to you. See you soon. Peace.